Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Great Taz Gaming YouTube channel. And today we got something special going on. So stick around and find out. Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Great Taz, and once again, we're doing some World of Tanks stuff. Alright, before we get into this Thursday news episode that was aired on the 13th of February, which was a couple weeks late, I would be doing this. What am I talking about? Well, if you don't know, and you didn't watch that video, Wargaming has now, or World of Tanks Wargaming, has now put up a Sandbox server for everyone to try out. Now, this is the final Sandbox server that they're going to put out before they go to a live test server. And what is that? Basically, a Sandbox server is after all their closed testing on stuff, they open it up to more people to test out upcoming stuff. Kind of like a test server, but kind of like a test server for your super testers. But not quite super testers. I mean, they have the in-house tests, then they have the super testers tests, then they have the sandbox, and then they have the test server, and then they go live. All right, so that's the order they do it. All right, yes, bugs come out during this time period and stuff like that, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the tech tree changes that are going to come, that are in game currently live, compared to what's on the sandbox, which is going to be, as they've stated it, World of Tanks 2.0. So we're going to the second version, full version of World of Tanks. This isn't World of Tanks 2, it's World of Tanks 2.0. It's just an upgraded version of World of Tanks. Kind of like they did when they came out with the core graphic system and updated the whole graphic system. That became 1.0. So this is a different version. They're not doing a whole bunch. They're still doing with the HD and stuff and the higher quality, but they still have their standard. But on the opposite side of that, they are doing a lot of stuff that they've been wanting to do and change around for a long time, but they didn't know how to go about it, and they kept adding stuff. So let's just stop yapping and let's get on with it. All right, there are multiple changes coming, and to do that, we're going to go start right here. All right, I'm going to give you the lowdown of the changes, and then I'm going to show you directly with pictures and stuff like that. First, they're removing 91. By my count, even though on their website it says 92, by my count, I'm figuring they're removing 91 total tanks from the tech tree. They're changing 12 tanks in the tech tree, and they're adding 3 new tanks to the tech tree when this happens. All right, as you can see here, right here, I'm not sure how I can make this bigger. No. So we're gonna do this the best we can. Actually, I know one way I can make this bigger. We'll change the font. Now, when I go back to doing this and put it back to normal, everyone will be able to see what's going on. All right, but first, here we go. All right, as you can see here, doing these quick changes right here in front of you, you can see. Now, the British are losing 14 tanks. They're getting 8 tanks that are changing, and they're getting 1 new tank. All right, I'll go through that in the pictures here and some of the other pages that we have floating here in a minute. The Czech tree is not changing at all. The Chinese are losing 3 tanks. The French are losing 13 tanks. Germans are losing the most at 22 tanks. The Italian are losing 1 tank. Japan's losing 7 tanks. Poland's losing 0. Sweden is losing 2. The U.S. is using 16 tanks, but the U.S. is also gaining 1 new tank. And then the Russians are losing 13 tanks. 4 tanks are changing tiers. That's what this is all about. They're tier changing. And they're receiving 1 new tank. Now, when you come to look at this, I'm going to put this link to this so that everyone can come over and look at this. I have this color-coded on the other pages so that you might be able to see what overall the colors, quick reference guide for the colors, all right? And then we're going to go ahead and look at the actual tiers. And when we look at the actual tiers, I'm going to go to the pictures and show you the pictures. First off, with the British, like I said, they're losing 14, as I said in the first one. All right. Right here, they're going to basically all the medium numbers they're going to lose. All right. They're going to lose the medium 1, medium 2, medium 3 for medium tanks. They're going to lose the Grant at tier 4 and going to lose the Sherman 3 at tier 5. For light tanks, they're going to lose at tier 2 the M2 and the Stuart 1-4. For artillery, they're going to lose the Lloyd. Everybody's losing that has already. They're losing basically tiers 2, 3, and 4. Artillery is not going to start until tier 5. So you'll see a lot of arty throughout here too. Some are going to, like the Russians, as you can see here, are losing at tier 7. But the Lloyd gun, the Sexton, and the Birch gun, tiers 2, 3, and 4. For tank destroyers, the British are losing the UC 2-pounder at tier 2. They're losing the Electo at 4, the Archer at 5, and the one everyone complains about is the Churchill gun carrier. No one's going to miss it. Now, what the statement is if you have all these tanks purchased in your garage, in a garage slot, when 2.0 comes out, you will keep them. Now, another thing, everything tier 5 and below are going to be in a special, I believe it's 5, it might be 6. We're going to just say what 5. 5 and below are going to be in a special shop inside the garage. Once 2.0, you will still be able to go and purchase those tanks, all right, for credits. So you'll still be able to keep those tanks. Some of them, I don't know what they're doing with them. I can tell you from personal experience, like I had the Jumbo, the M4, E2, A2, E3, E2 Jumbo in my garage when I went to the Sandbox. When I went to the Sandbox, the Jumbo was a premium tank. All right, it was a premium tank. So my suggestion is if you have anything tier 6 and above you really want to keep a hold of or don't have research, go get it done before 2.0 gets out and get the tank in your garage. What you're going to do is if you have this in your garage, now this did not happen for any of these. I don't, I have the M2 medium. The M2 medium still showed up as a tech tree tank. The Jumbo showed up as a premium tank. It wasn't in the tech tree, but it was this was not researchable in the tech tree. The M2 medium was not researchable in the tech tree, but it shows up as a standard tech tree tank when you look through all your tanks. However, the Jumbo showed up as a premium tank. Now this may change. Again, this is the Sandbox server. All right, so when I looked at the Jumbo, it was decked out in its historic setup. So its historic setup is the way the Jumbo was set up. So I didn't have the, the weaker turret with the, actually it has the smaller turret with the 76 millimeter. It didn't have the big heavy armored frontal turret, and I could not put a 105 on it. Not that it matters, because the only freaking tanks that are keeping HE rounds with penetration is the KV2 and the KV2R. But that's another video. All right, so as you can see here, that is what the British are losing. They are changing tiers on some tanks. These tanks are changing. All the cruisers are actually changing tier. The Cruiser 1, which used to be tier 2, is now going to be the tier 1 tank. The Cruiser 2, which also used to be tier 3, that came off the Cruiser 1, is going to be the tier 2. The Cruiser 3, which came off the tier 1, is now no longer going to be tier 2. It's going to be tier 3. And the Cruiser 4 is going to go from tier 3, which came off the 3, is now going to be the tier 4. The Conventor is now going to be from tier 4 to tier 5, and the Crusader is going to be a tier 5 goes from tier 5 to tier 6. Now the Valentine, which is a medium tank, goes from tier 4 and it's dropping down to tier 3. And then you got the Valentine AT, which it should have truly been when they put it in, because the Valentine AT is based off the Valentine, based off a tank. The Valentine AT is going from tier 3 to tier 4. Now, to show you this, and they're getting a new tier 5 tank called the Cavalier, which is a medium tank. Now, to show you this all in perspective, all right, here is the current view of the tech tree as it sits. All right, like I said, the Cruiser 3 and 4, the Cruiser 3 is moving to 3, the 4 is moving to 4, the Covenanter is moving to tier 5, all right, and the Crusader is moving to tier 6. Okay, they're just there. The Cavalier is going to be a 5. You're losing the medium. This is what it looks like now. On the Sandbox, this is what it looks like. Like I said, Cruiser 1 to Tier 1, Cruiser 2, then your 3, 4, Conventeer, and Crusader. Now, these are all going to... Also, another thing about it is if you look at the tech tree here, the Crusader at Tier 5 is a medium tank. All right? As you noticed on my little thing, the Crusader was a light blue. It's no longer a medium tank. The Crusader is going to be a light tank, and that is going to be the British light tank line. All right? So you got the Cruisers, then the Conventeer, Crusader, and then the current 7 to not 10 line. That is the way it's going to be. All right? So your heavy line is going to be your Cruiser 1 and 2, and then it's going to go to the Valentine, your Matilda, and then from your Matilda, you're going to switch off into your medium line, which is going to be your near Tier 5 Cavalier, Cromwell, Comet, and so forth and so on. And then the heavy starts back at the Churchill 1 and continues the way it is now. Now your TD line is going to be all based off the Valentine. It's going to go to the Valentine AT, which then that's where your artillery is also going to come off. Your artillery is going to start with your Bishop and go as it is currently. Your AT line, you're going to have your 2, but it's going to start with the Valentine, then go to the AT2, and then with AT2, you're going to have your split to your turreted and your non-turreted, and then from there, they're going to be exactly the same. So that is basically your British lineup right there. Now, as I said, the Czechs are having no changes whatsoever. Here's the Chinese, so we'll go ahead and look at the Chinese. All right, China is losing 3 tanks. As I said before, they're losing 2 TDs and a heavy tank. Now, the 2 TDs are the T-26 GFT. Let me increase the size of this. We'll go to 14. All right, there we go. All right, so there we have it. The Chinese are losing the T-26 GFT, the M3 GFT, and they're losing the 113. All right, as you can see here, they're losing these 2 tanks right here, okay, and they're losing the 113. So there is only going to be 1 heavy available for the Chinese. If you don't have this one, again, like I said, the Jumbo became a premium tank, so you may want, or a reward tank. It might be considered a reward tank. It doesn't really say in the description, so you may want, if you're close to getting your 5A on 113, you may just want to get the 113 to have it in your garage. That way you have it when the change comes. As you can see here, here is the current tech tree. Now you'll notice, if you notice on the tech tree, some of these tanks, like your premiums, are spread out through here. They're actually going to move into a little hole that's down here below. All right, now here is the new Chinese tech line, as you can see here. So we take a quick squeak back. The SU-76 is Tier 4. It is still saying Tier 4. It's just coming off the Chiha. So you can see the quick difference here. You're losing these 2. Everything's following down here after the Chiha, and then that's where it splits, where you get your TD line, and then you go into your, continue with another light, medium, then you got your medium line, which turns, you got a couple mediums, which turns into the heavy line, and then your medium line. And then off the Type 30 T34, you got the 5916, and then your light line as it stands. All right. So that is the Chinese line right there. All right. The Czechoslovakian line, here is the one that is currently live, and here's the one that is on. Now you'll notice the premium tank disappears. I don't know if that's a goof on them that they didn't put it down here below, but we'll have to find out a little later. All right, and here we are on the French line. So, as you can see here, the French are losing again their Tier 2, 3, and 4 artillery, which would be the FTB-A, the Lorry 39 LAM, and the AMX 105. For light tanks, they're losing 3 Tier 2s, the R35, the D1, and the H35. For tank destroyers, they're losing the FTAC and the UA-53. For medium tanks, Tier 5 and below, they're losing the D2, the Sarl 42, and the GR1. For above tier 6 and above, they are losing 2. They are losing the AMX-30 and the AMX-30B, which will kind of disappoint me because I actually really enjoyed both of those tanks. I have them both in my garage, and as you'll see later in the video, when I'm going over the garage stuff, you'll see that right there. All right, so let's go ahead and check out how the tech tree looks. Here's how the tech tree currently looks right now. Like I said, the FTC, the FTAC, and the UAE 57, they're losing the H35, the Soma 35, they're losing the D1, they're losing the RD5, they're losing these 3 artillery, and that is all prominent with right here. As you can see, you got your primary heavy line, which starts with, of course, your primary tank, and then your FCM 36, and then your first split is right between from tier 2 to tier 3, and then your heavy line continues on the Soma, the B1, etc., 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 right down to the AMX M450 45, where the heavy tank tree line splits. You got your main one, which leads to the M454, and then your auto loader, which leads to the AMX 50B. Your TD line is still the same, the SAU 40 right down to the Foch B. And your artillery line comes off the SAU 30, starting with the AMX 13AM and ends up at the BC 155-58. Okay, down on your light line and light medium line. All right, the French has primarily 2 light lines. As you can see right here at the AMX ELC, it splits again into the wheeled, and then the auto loaders still end up at the same spot. So does the wheel. Okay, again, still the Batchat 25 AP comes off the Batchat 25 ton and ends up with the Batchat 25. So there is your French. All right, now we'll move on to Germany right here. All right, and like I said with Germany, they lose the most tanks. So they lose a total of 22 tanks in total. That's starting with their 5 artillery, because their artillery went down, starts with either tier 2, splits into 2 tier 3s, 2 tier 4s, and then goes back into 1 tier 5. So they're going to lose the Mark II, the Vest, the Bison, the PZS 4B, and the STPZ2 for artillery. For tank destroyers below tier 5 is what I'm going to concentrate on first. Is they're losing the Jagdpanzer 1, the Marder 2, the Marder 38T, everyone's favorite. So if you like this tank, you're going to want to have it in your garage. You still will be able to get it afterwards through a special shop, but you need to have it researched. The Hetzer, and then the AKA the Toaster, or the PZSFL 4C. Now for light tanks below tier 5, they're going to lose the PZ35T, the PZ1, the PZ38T, the PZ38NA. For medium tanks below 5, they're going to lose the PZ4 Alpha, the PZ1C, everyone's little troll cannon tank, the PZ4D, the VK2001D, and also the PZ34. For heavy tanks below 5, they're going to lose the DW2. Now again, above 6, these tanks, as I said with the Jumbo, will turn into premiums. Actually, after I researched and did some more information, they're going to turn into reward tanks. So they're going to be their stock version from their historical versions, and that's the way they're going to play. You're not going to get extra credits from them, but you'll get crew training and extra experience. So you get the VK3001 Delta, or D, and the Jagdpanther, and we're going to see how that works out right here in a second. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the German. The German tree was so fat because of stuff like this, the Marder 38T going from a tier 4 into another tier 4, the Stug B, 3B. Yeah, they had to spread it out. All right, and then you got the same kind of somewhat similar situation when it came to the German tier 8s. They just had, I mean, if they would have taken all the premium tanks and put them down in the little tab down below, they would have had been able to probably, and if you look at it, maybe, possibly, no, it don't look like they'd be able to shrink the 8, but they would have definitely been shrink somebody else's somewhere. So as you can see here, here's the tier 9 and 10 right here. Now, as we jump over to the Sandbox server tree, here's what it looks like. You got your main primary heavy line, which is, you know, the Law Tractor, the PZ2, the 3E, the 3J, the 3001H, which is medium tank, then your 3601 and right into your E100. Your secondary heavy line will come off the 3J, which will go to the PZ4H, 3001P, which is a heavy now as compared to what it was before. The 3001P was a medium tank, so there are some tanks that are changing classes again. The Tiger P, where the split goes to the VK4502 Alpha and the VK1001, and then ends up in, of course, the PZ7 and the Moz. All right, your TD line comes off the PZ3 with the Stug, goes to Stug 3, 3G, and then that's where it splits into the grill line and the JPEG E100. Okay, your Arty starts with the grill, which comes off the Stug B and ends in the GW E100, just like it does now. Your medium line comes off the VK3001H, goes to the VK3002M, and then it splits again into the Panther E50 line, and then the 3002 to the Leo 1 line. Now your light tank, it comes off the tier 2. This is one of the few that has a change. They don't all come off tier 3s. So your PZ2G leads right into the Rumpanzer there. Now, that is what the German tree looks like, and you can see all their premium tanks have been moved down into a premium little thing down here, and when you're on the server, you can actually scroll down, and that will spread out. All right, the Italians are really simple. They're only losing the one tank, and that is the L6/40, as you can see right there. So no real major change there. As you can see, they didn't have a premium tank anywhere here, which, you know, it should be the Peugeot 46 right here, but they also don't have it listed here. So Japan was losing a total of 7 tanks, and we'll go ahead and take that look at the spreadsheet right here. As you can see, here's Japan. You got the Chi-Ni, the Igo, Chiro, both medium tanks at tier 2. Light tanks, they got the Ki-Ni and the Ki-Ho, the tier 3 and 4. And for heavy tanks, they're losing the Type 91, 95, and the OI Experimental. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the tech trees as it is. All right, like I said, they're losing these two, and they're losing this one and this one. So everything's going to go basically right down this line here. But everything's primary line is going to be their heavy line if they have a line. Otherwise, it's going to be the only line that they have. So as we see here, the heavy line, the Ratsu, the Hago, the Chiha, the Chihi. The Chiha is actually becoming a light tank. The Hago is what they're keeping, right, is a light tank. So they're losing these two mediums. This is becoming a light tank there, as you can see here. Then you got the Chihi, the Chi-Nu, which I'm pretty sure doesn't change. Nope. And then you got your heavy line, which is the OI, right to the Type 5. And then you got your medium line, which is the Cheeto, right to the STB1. All right, and there's no real major change. And that, they're all still mediums, and they're all still heavies. Next up is Poland. And as I said earlier, Poland is having 0 changes. The only change you're going to see is the Poodle's going to actually disappear off the screen. It's not even going to go down below. All right, now on to Sweden. Sweden has a total of 2 changes. They're losing 2, a tier 3 and a tier 2 TD, the FM42 and the IKV72. So that is what they're losing. They're losing these 2. Everything else is staying exactly the same as it is, as you can see here. You know, these are staying lights. These are all staying mediums. And then you got your medium line here and your heavy line here. And then you have your TD line, which is going to come off the M40L that goes to the SAV 43, just like so, and then you're going to have your TDs. So the Swedish has very minimum changes, 2 losses of TDs, no big deal. All right, so they're minimizing the direction you can go at pushing it back further in the trek tree than it actually is. So everyone pretty much is going to have nothing but light tanks early game right up till tier 3. I think there's maybe one that has something else. All right, the great USA. As you can see right here, here is the tech tree as it currently sits. All right, now we're going to go ahead and switch over to our spreadsheet. And as you can see here, 16 tanks are being lost from the United States. Now, just like the Germans, they had a very confusing arty line. It started with your tier 2, split into 2 tier 3s, went to 2 tier 4s, and then went right back to 1 tier 5. So they're losing all those low tier artillery. So the T1, T18, T82, the M7 Priest, and the M37. Now, for medium tanks, they're losing the T2, M2 medium, and the M3 Lee. For TDs, they're losing the T3, the T56, T40, and the T67. They're also losing a light tank at tier 5, which is the M7. Now remember, everything 5 and below will be, as long as you have it researched, will be purchasable in a special shop. I'll show that again later in the video in the store. Now, also, like I said, the Jumbo, I personally own the Jumbo before the Sandbox server came up, and when I went over and played on the Jumbo, it became a premium / reward tank. They're doing some more research. I found out that they are actually reward tanks. They do not have the experience. So if you have anything 6 and above, researched and in your tech tree, you have to have it purchased and in your garage to keep it. Other words, you will not be able to keep it. They said they're not sure what they're going to do if you have it researched yet. If they're going to be able to give you the ability to actually buy it. Above tier 6, the U.S. is actually losing the T21 Light and the T71DA. The T71DA is actually the auto-loading T71. So again, they're removing all auto-loading from pretty much everybody but, you know, the French. There's still little slights here or there. You'll see that in a moment. And the Jumbo at tier 6. Medium. Now they're getting one new tank. That will be the T6 medium. Tier 4, that is going to replace the M3 Lee in the tech tree. So here we go. We're going to look at the tree. As you can see, here's the, I lost M3 Lee, and it's going to be, the T6 is going to be right here. So you can see there's a lot going on here on the US. Not quite as much as the USSR, which we'll go into quickly right next. And bam, there you go. Again, right up to tier 3, the U.S. has nothing but one tank line, and that's all light. And that changes right around tier 4, where you get your light line, full light line. You start your heavy, medium line, and TD line, all off the T6. All right, the light line comes off the main line. All right, then you got your T6 medium, which is actually, truthfully, an M4A1. Actually, the M4, it's the test version of the M4. And then you go in your heavy line, which stays the same from the T1 all the way to the T110E5. Off of the T6, you go into your TD line, and then which starts with the M4A1, but there it also splits to the arty and TD line. Your arty line, same from M41 all the way around to your T92. Now your TD lines are still the same. They both come off the Wolverine, as they did kind of before. Let me find the stinking Wolverine where they had it. Right here's the Wolverine. As you can see, Hellcat and Jackson. The only thing they did is instead of the T56 leading into the M8A1 and then the 67, they removed the T40 and the T67, put this one down here, and you only have one lead into the TD lines instead of having two and then a crossover. All right. So your TD lines are still the same. Your unturreted starts basically at the AT26 after the Jackson is still turreted and goes right to the E3. Your turreted goes from the, basically starts at the M8, which is turreted, all the way down to the E4, including the Wolverine and Hellcat. And we go on to the medium line. As I said, the light line didn't change. The medium line, you lose your Jumbo, which would be right here. All right, and your Jumbo before actually transitioned, I think, into the M6 maybe. Jumbo goes, no, the Jumbo went to the Jackson, so it didn't go into the heavy line. The Jumbo went into T29. It will no longer ever go, you don't have a crossover from the medium to the heavy line anymore. And as you can see, the T71, which would normally be in right before here, which would have came off of, I think, the M37 in the old one, is no longer here. And now also the T54E1 is no longer a medium tank. It is now a heavy tank. So your second heavy line is right here. And then your medium line is right here, which is still the same. All right, let's move on to the Russian. The Russian also came out with a 2-pager print because it was so wide. Okay, so if they could have removed the premium tanks from tier 6, they could have shrunk it down, and also they could have did the same thing with tier 8. Tier 7 and Tier 8, if they would have pulled the premium tanks out, they could have squashed it down, and then you would only had it where the Tier 10 was really goofy, and that's because of the 430, T62A, and the 140J. Now, let's go ahead back onto the spreadsheet and see what is going on here. All right. As I said, the Russians are losing 13 tanks. All right. They're losing the Tier 2 and the Tier 4 TDs. They're not losing the Tier 3 because the Tier 3 is actually becoming the Tier 4, so they're losing the AT-1 and the Su-85. For artillery, they're losing the SU, below Tier 5 again, Su-18, Su-5, and Su-26. For light tanks, they're losing the T-26 and T-46, both tanks, which I actually had a lot of fun in when they were around, and then the T-80 and the T-50. That is all your Tier 5 and below tanks that you will still be able to purchase in a special spot in this in-game store. Now, from Tier 6 up, they're losing the KV-85, they're losing the Su-14-1, they're losing the KV-13, and the T-62A at Tier 10. All right, so they're losing 4 above Tier 6. These will all become reward tanks. So if you don't have them researched and in your garage at that time, you'll never be able to, you might not, it might be a long time before you actually be able to see them again. Now, as you'll see here in a little bit, that even if you don't have them researched, it still shows you have to research. So they're still working on the little kinks and stuff like that, but give them time to look good. Now, as for change, the BT-7 is moving from a Tier 4 from a Tier 3 to a Tier 4, and the A-20 is also moving from a Tier 4 to a Tier 5. Like I said, the Su-76M is now becoming the Tier 4 TD. That is going to be your first TD, and it goes from Tier 3 to Tier 4. Now, the KV-1S is moving back to its proper position at Tier 6, once again, after it was dropped from Tier 6 down to Tier 5. All right, so it's going from Tier 5 to Tier 6, and they have a brand new tank called the BT-5 coming up as a light tank. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the new tech tree. We've already seen the old crazy, swamp out tree. We're going to go ahead and jump in right into the next tree. Here is your new tech tree. Now, the Russian are going to have the only tree that's going to have 2 Tier 2 light tanks, as you can see right here. All right, so your primary heavy line, which is the IS-7, is going to go the MS-1, BT-2, BT-5, the new tank, which is a light tank, the T-28, KV-1, KV-1S, IS, IS-3, the Object 257, and Object IS-7. Now, the IS-3 is still going to have lead into the T-10 and the 277. The IS is still going to lead into the IS-3 and the rear turreted line of the ISM to the 705 Alpha. Now, the KV-1 is going to lead into the KV-2 and also lead into the T-150, where it is going to lead into the other 2 T heavy lines, which is going to be the IS-4 and the dual barrel guns. Now, the KV-2 is going to be, and this is the only nation that's going to have a crossover from one line to another line. So this is a crossover from a heavy line to a TD line, but this is going to be a lot better crossover than the Churchill gun carrier. So your KV-2 is going to lead right into the ISU-152 and put you right at Tier 7 in the TD line. Now your TD line is going to start with the T-60, go to T-70, the Su-76, and then from there it's going to break into your RD line and your TD line, and then you're going to go to the Su-100, and then after the 100 you're going to break your TD line into the 100M1, which is going to lead to the version 4, and then the 152, which is going to also lead to your 268 basic version. Your RD is going to be the same from Tier 5 right to Tier 10. Your light lines, there's only going to be one of them. It's going to follow from the BT-5 to the 7 to the A-20 and then the MT-25, and from there it's going to end up in the T-100. Your medium line is going to also follow down into the BT-7, but the BT-7 then is going to go to the T-34, where there's then going to be another split to the 34-85 and the A-43. A-43 is going to lead to your K-91. The 85 is going to lead to the 44, where there's another split, the T-44. And then from there, it's going to go to the 430, 430U, T-54, or the Object 140. But that is your Russian breakdown. That is all the breakdowns and all of that. So as you can see, there's a lot really going on when it comes to this old brand new tech tree setup. And stick around here in a moment. I am going to show you some of those changes and show you the shop that is on the Sandbox server using both a secondary account and my primary account. So stick around for a minute and you'll see that right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here I am on the live server on my alternate account. As you can see, there is a lot of kind of confusion going on here, a little bit with going things. Now you can see that I've researched all the way out to the KV3. I don't have it purchased, and I could actually research the KV4 right away. Now that is the Russian. Here's the German. As you can see, I have a lot of these, but I don't have the PZ38T and 38NA. As you can see here, I do not have the 37. I have the Priest researched. I don't have the T18 researched. All right, and I'm just pointing these certain things out because these are ones being removed. You know, I have the T56 researched right here. So these are ones that are actually researched, and I want to point these out, like the the T70, I don't have researched, okay? I'm pointing these out because I want to show you something when I switch over to the Sandbox server. As which, through the great power of video editing, here we are on the tech tree. Now, they did say there's a way to zoom in. I don't see it. They're going to put a way to zoom in. So see, as you can see, this talks about this page will display the collector's vehicles containing tier 1 through 5 vehicles that were removed with the tech tree. You will be able to purchase these vehicles using credits if they are already researched. Tier 6 through 10 in the technical branches of the corresponding H's, if you already have those vehicles removed from the tech tree, they will be available on your account for entering battle. Collector's vehicles will have the same options as researchable vehicles, as you can research their modules and acquire elite status. If you already have collector vehicles in your garage, before the indication of this feature, the game, all equipment, consumables, and etc., 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 etc. Okay, that's where your collector vehicles are going to be hiding. It's not built quite yet, but they're getting there. Like I said, already researched. You're not going to be able to research these prior. As you can see here, we got all these tanks. Here is the German, and here's the American. Now, I did this earlier, and I made a serious goof up, so I'm having to re-record this. But if we go into the garage, as you can see, the AT2. The AT2 led into, well, actually, there was a, I don't know what they're going to call it, but let's see. We're going to go to the Russian, and we're going to go to TD. We don't have it researched, so we can't purchase it. See, and 85, we don't have research, so we can't purchase it. All right, so what about Artie? Well, the SPG 18, SU18, you can buy it with a crew or without a crew, and that is all up to you. Now, since I've already purchased the AT1, which I did not originally have on my open server, we're just going to go back here. All right, here is the AT1. Now, when you come to the AT1, it's going to show up just like you completely did before with researchable components. If you have a component that was researched on a previous tank, it will be previously available to purchase if you've never had that tank, as long as you have that researched. And we can see here, as we went through some of the Americans junk also, we bought, see, there's the H35 Hotkiss. This was one that's still in the tank, Renault. So as you can see, we also went through and we were looking at the North American or U.S. tanks also. And as you can see here, there is the SPGT1. We can purchase it just like that because it's researched. The Priest, we can research it just like that because it was, you know. And what you do here on the Sandbox server is not going to affect you in any way, shape, or form. All right, so we view it in Garage, we research, and see we have all the options that are exactly the same as if it was in the Garage already on the live server. All right, so now we're going to do a quick jump on over to the my primary account, and we're going to show you some things right there, and that's going to be with the tier 6 and above. So give me a moment. Through the power and magic of video editing. And here we're back with the tier 6 and above, and as you can see, the tech tree is completely wide open again. Well, that's, again, I switched into my main account. But we're going to jump right over here to the garage. And as I said before, the tanks, 3 of the tanks that I actually had were the Jumbo, the AMX 30 prototype, and the AMX B. So this is your standard Jumbo, or not standard Jumbo, but this is your E8. As you can see right here, it is still fully researchable and shows you how everything is researchable and purchasable. Now we jump over the Jumbo, which used to be researchable, and we look at the research. We'll also notice that when we're looking at the research, we have 4,445 accumulated experience. So what's this telling me is now, since they put this back down to the stock version, all right, of this tank right here as it sits, it's 76 millimeter, the upper turret that you used to be able to put on it, the top radio, the tier 8 engine, and the tier 6 tracks, that all the experience that you actually put into these tanks, they're going to give back to you. So as you can see here, you see you get free experience, more free experience, and crew experience, and you can transfer the crew without any penalties. Well, what's the difference between that and a premium tank? Well, the E8 Thunderbolt 7, the E Thunderbolt 7, actually happens to be a premium tank, one you have to purchase. So let's look. Here's the big difference. It's the credits. So as you can see here, you're getting credits with this one, but you're not getting credits with the Jumbo. So the Jumbos, all the Tech Tree tanks, tier 6 and higher, that are being removed are becoming reward tanks. So if you want to keep those tanks, I highly suggest that you go out, get them researched, get them purchased in your garage. Whether there's a stock version or not, you're still going to get them in the more upgraded version, as you've seen with the Jumbo. So, and like I said, that also goes for the 179.5 thousand experience on the AMX 30 prototype. And then if you drop back down, you got the AMX 30B, which only had one setup. So there you go. It's fully stocked out version. And as you can see here, this is another reward tank. Also, it has nothing. So it is a Clan Wars reward tank. So it doesn't have the extra credits. Now, I will show you what the Jumbo looks like real quick, at a quick moment, before we go and end all this, when it's before it's actually that gets moved over. So we'll take a quick look and we'll go into the research. We got the 76A2. We got a crazy 1080 already, a 506 radio, the GAA engine, and the E2 tracks. So knowing that, we will go ahead and we'll jump over to the live server. And again, using that great movie magic of editing, here we are on the live server. All right, as you can see, my Jumbo looks a little different. It has a shorter barrel, but that's not what we're going to look at. We're going to look at what it comes with. Now, as we said, the Jumbo on the Sandbox server had the M1A2 76mm gun. It had the 1080 turret. It had the 506 radio. It had the GAA, and it had the E2 tracks. Now, what's that tell me? It tells me that when 2.0 comes out, you're going to get any tier 6 and above that you have in your garage in its top configuration, whether you have it fully researched or not. You're going to get that tank that way, and as a reward tank. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's a whole lot of information that was just pushed out to you, and I really hope you got something out of it. I really don't think there's much more to go over when it comes to the tech tree changes. Some are good, some are bad. They're trying to minimize or streamline, is a better way to put it, the tech trees. And yes, it's going to be good, but it's going to be bad also in the same side. You're going to lose some of your precious tanks that you had in the lower ends, but you're going to get some new tanks, and there's going to be a lot of changes. So it's something we're going to have to grow with, and I really don't think, unless they get 90% of the player base to tell them no, that they're going to go through with this. So with that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you with this note. If you liked this video and got information from it, please click that like. Tell me, and if you want, leave a comment. If you did not like this video, you know what to do. Now, also, if you're not a subscriber and you want to keep up to my news updates from World of Tanks, my on-track Sundays, and Elite Dangerous, and all the other things that I do on this channel, click that subscription button. And on top of that, if you want to get instant notification, don't forget to click the notification bell, changing it from occasional to always to get instant notification of all my new uploads. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Great Taz. I'm getting out of here, and we will see you on the battlefield. We can buy it, and you can buy it with a Katru or without a Katru.